After more than 15 years of field research, the Explain group decided to step up into the alien phenomenon. Since INEC's three-level classification of close encounters, the extent of the incidents and case studies grew to a degree of complexity which called for a new perspective in the interaction between humans and the visitors, shifting the prime focus of the investigation from the flying crafts to the extraterrestrial or interterrestrial biological entities, EBE, IBE. Close Encounters X, or CEX, is the TXP's 5-level classification of alien interference. CEX-1, or sighting of flying objects at great distance. CEX-2, or sighting of flying objects at medium or close range, which results in a modification of the environment. CEX-3, or sighting of EBE, IBE on the ground, with or without a craft. CEX-4, or human EBE, IBE interaction at all levels, from abductions to conflicts to cooperation. CEX-5, or human EBE, IBE product, from hybrids to clones to engineered living creatures, ELC.
Hello, Leah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And hello to everyone that will listen to this episode, Starseed, episode 5. Welcome again to our program, our recorded episodes about the experience of Leah Capitelli from Australia and her stellar heritage. Just to recap a little bit, Leah is a starseed, means that she's not completely humans in the sense of genetic makeup. Part of her DNA comes from another planet and belongs to other beings. Leah had a remarkable experience when she was 8. She told us about this in the first episodes, and the last episode, number 4, we talked about the return of Antagism after a period of absence in which Leah had sort of cut off all the bonds with her. And we finished the episodes when Leah told us that yes, Antagism came back, but she didn't come back alone. There was someone else with her, and also the way they came back to Leah were different, not more physical, but in the Astral Dimension. And before we left, Leah told us the name of this new being, Mezreth. It's a mysterious being. She told us it's a very powerful being and sort of open up a new world to Leah. A new world which, by the way, it's kind of belonging to her. It's a kind of a alien kingship. So, Leah, these episodes will revolve completely around Mezreth. What can you tell us about him? Who is Mezreth in general, and then who is Mezreth to you?
Well, Mezreth is his primary job and interest is to communicate with humans. He specializes in communication and intermingling with not just humans, but also a lot of the young, quote-unquote, younger races. So he tends to be kind of like the ambassador, if you will, the emissary, the delegate, the speaker on behalf of his people. So he tends to kind of do that sort of role for his kin. But it's interesting because Mezreth is, well, like all Nevensaurs, which is the species that he is belonging to, they are super highly evolved entities. They no longer have a physical body the way we understand them to be. They can manipulate their forms in an endless and expansive scale. They can connect with as many minds as they wish. They can affect matter across galaxies. So they don't have the same limitations as we do. And once upon a time, they were much like us, but that is time no more. Now, Mezreth, despite being all these wonderful things, having all this power and having all this experience, he's on top of that, he's also a very, very old and ancient entity. He is also my friend. And that friendship took some years to actually build. But when we first met, when I was about in my young teen years, it was a cold, very strange sort of familiarity I had with him, even though I have no active memory of meeting him before. I probably have in a former life. But yeah, we kind of struck up an immediate kind of connection in more ways than one. So Mezreth kind of took upon himself, or it's difficult to find the words exactly, but he kind of became another guide for me, much like Antaji-san, who was kind of my teacher, but Mezreth kind of became my guide, like my personal individual guide if I had any kind of issues with dealing with what was going on with my contact experience and just general life experience as well. I sought aid and comfort from him. But in the early years, it was kind of like a cold kind of relationship. He was very, not forceful, I don't want to use the word forceful, but there was a kind of a high expectation he had of me. Now, this expectation was to do certain things. For example, like he was getting me to actually travel every single night, forcing me to practice my psionics, my higher, more sensitive psychic abilities. He was telling me, teaching me boundaries in doing such things. So I remember when I was actually, there were instances when I was in my youth where I was sensitive to the thoughts and emotions of others. But in those early years, I started to get this sort of ego, which started to grow very, very quickly in this arrogance. Like I'm better than everybody else because I have all these things and I can do all these things. And I have all these, ETs on my side, right? So it kind of it got to my head in every way. But
by the way, and speaking of your head, I also know because you told me off camera that in all these years, Mezreth kind of taught you, imparted new knowledge into your mind.
Sure.
He filled you with knowledge about some science.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I'm very curious about this, and I'm sure all the users will be curious to understand what type of knowledge actually he was able to explain to you, because you told us already in previous episode that some of the science of the ETs is not even understandable to you, although he extensively explained. So give us just a little glimpse of what you learned, what you understood about what Mezreth told you in all these years.
That's a great question, and a fascinating one at that. When it comes to phasing technology, they have this ability to dematerialize their physical forms, any physical object, and transport that into another plane of existence. And when they do that, they are able to move faster. They are able to reach not only physically other distances in almost instantaneous speeds, but also use that as a form of communication and form of transferring that information across. Now, they've been using phasing technology for many, many millennia, and it's probably one of the more interesting parts of their science because they use it. They're so dependent on it. They're so regular users of it. Another one is a really good example of their ability to harness infinite amounts of energy from the cosmos itself. So they are able to not only take energy around the space around them, sorry, and able to physically reproduce a tangible object, but they can tap into another plane and harness that energy to actually produce that item. Now, it's very easy for them to just use cosmic energy that swims around us all the time, but it takes a lot of energy to make one little item. So they have to use another plane of existence to get that energy, and they have machines for it, they have devices for that. So that is also one thing that they use to, get food from, get water, and other basic needs met. So that's also another really interesting facet of the technology.
Okay, great. Now, before we conclude this episode, I would like to ask one last question, but why don't you show us a drawing as usually at every episode you have something to show us. So I would like to see the drawing for this episode that I guess it's about Mezreth, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Can I quickly grab my drawing? I just put it away. Sorry. One sec.
No problem. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Leah a question that after you show the drawing, you can answer this question. I would like to know, Mezreth, you say he's an ambassador, he's a representative for his race or an alliance, a federation of beings that you call ETs. So what are these ETs doing on Earth, and what is the bonds that ties you and as a Homo novis or Starseed? But I know that you like star people, so star people or Homo novis, how do they tie in to Mezreth and his skin? So you can show the drawing and then answer the question, please.
Sure, absolutely. So this is just a little, it's actually in fact a perfect illustration of our relationship, especially in the early years, if you can see that. So that's me lying down on the bed, him pulling me out with my astral form out of my physical body.
Put it a little bit back and tilted toward yourself. Tilted.
Yeah.
Skew it a little bit backward because it's too much light.
Sorry. Hang on.
Too much light, we just see the white paper. Okay, that's perfect. Yes.
Yep.
A little out of focus, so you have to tilt it a little bit.
Is that better?
Backward. Yeah. Well, no, it's out of focus. Can you see it in your camera?
Oh yes, I can. It's just barely out of focus. Hang on.
Yeah, we see Mezreth, and we see that he's reaching out to you. Okay.
Yeah. There we go. Is that all right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it just adds up to the curiosity to know what that book is all about, but we're going to talk about it in the next episode. So please go ahead with the answer to my question.
Absolutely. So yeah, his relation to not only me but also other star people. Now, his role is to be the speaker of his not only group but also his kin, and they have a desire, a wish to be able to help humanity in its time of need, to help give us the opportunity to help ourselves with their assistance. So they're basically using the sensitivities and the middle grounds of the Homo novus to be their spokespeople, to be their mouthpieces, to be able to relay all that information, that everything to people here. To the people here on Earth. So we're kind of like the liaisons, and just doing our little piece, and that is why I'm here.
Okay, that's excellent, Leah. We're only just too curious to understand, and you know what? You actually concluded in a perfect way, because on the next episode we're going to talk about you. Now we move our focus from Antagizon and Mezreth to actually you, but not you in this present time, you in the past. And I don't want to say any more of this. Thank you for being here. Thanks to our users, and see you in episode 6. Do not miss the next episodes, because we're going to talk about past lives. Leah, see you.
Thank you. Ciao.